South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol's abstract martial law incident on the evening of December 3rd is still fermenting. All kinds of disclosed abstract operations emerge in an endless stream. And all kinds of people involved in the martial law have begun to cut ties one after another. Vividly presenting a panorama of the South Korean political arena, let's first talk about several disclosed abstract operations of Yoon Suk-yeol. As we mentioned in the previous article, such a definite military coup. The top priority is to seize the media center, like the broadcasting station, in a hurry. The intention of controlling the media center is, first, to quickly master one's own external communication channels, and second, to control the media from making random remarks and actions about the coup. For example, Gaddafi's military coup and so on basically followed this pattern. However, no one knows what Yoon Suk-yeol was thinking. More than half an hour after the martial law was issued, the only one that stopped broadcasting was Yonhap news agency. And the reports of other media didn't stop at all, let alone social media that couldn't be blocked at all. As a result, Jae-myung imitated Erdogan and live-streamed his dash into the National Assembly on social media, with 1 million people watching the whole process. As for why Yoon Suk-yeol didn't control the media at all, the currently disclosed information is, deal with it tomorrow. The military planned to set up a media control department on December 4th. By the next day, it was all too late. The second abstract operation. In fact, from the situation on the evening of the 3rd, we can see clearly that the 707th Special Forces Regiment and the Airborne Forces of the ROK Army that rushed to the National Assembly of South Korea seem to have pistols without magazines. Now new information has been disclosed that these Special Forces soldiers even carried training equipment for their rifles. The touch of blue exposed in the ejection port is enough to prove that these guns are actually training guns modified to fire training ammunition. This is rather embarrassing. In a nutshell, what they held was not a gun at all. A fire stick would be more useful. It is completely unclear what the intention of the South Korean military's involvement in the coup, but not going all out is. The third abstract operation still depends on Yoon Suk-yeol himself. Yoon Suk-yeol read the announcement of issuing the martial law order at 10:38 p.m. on December 3rd and read the notice of lifting the martial law order at 4 a.m. It seems that it was just a farce for 5 hours and 22 minutes. But in fact, it is said that the KBS TV station of South Korea checked the timestamp of the video of Yoon Suk-yeol's announcement of lifting the martial law order. They received and found that the actual recording time of this video was 23:20 on December 3rd, when even the Special Forces Regiment had not yet arrived at the National Assembly. That is to say, Yoon Suk-yeol just read the martial law order here and then was busy recording a video of lifting the martial law order there. Is this regretting what he just said? All in all, if we look at it this way, the martial law order incident is extremely like something that Yoon Suk-yeol came up with on a whim after getting drunk. After sobering up, he felt that he had caused a big disaster and then hurriedly backtracked. The first one to cut ties was of course the South Korean Army Chief of Staff, An-soo, who was appointed by Yoon Suk-yeol as the commander of the Martial Law Command. The day after the farce of the martial law incident, An-soo became the target of criticism of the members of parliament. Under the questioning of the outside world, An-soo simply pretended to feint what's going on with the martial law. I don't know. I only knew that there would be martial law after listening to the president's speech. What's the matter with the martial law command? I don't know either. How could I, a chief of staff of the army, become the commander of the martial law command? But Yoon Suk-yeol told me that he had decided and it would be me to be the commander of the martial law command. Wasn't it you who announced the martial law order? No. 1. It was me who announced it. But that thing wasn't written by me. I just checked if there were any spelling mistakes and then read it out. Who ordered the dispatch of the 707 Special Forces Regiment? Anyway, it wasn't me. I don't know who issued the order to dispatch the 707 Special Forces Regiment. Generally speaking, Park An-soo's tactic is to try his best to absolve himself. As to whether he can be absolved cleanly or not, it's hard to say. After all, no matter how much you deny it, you are the commander of the martial law command and you read the martial law order. Obviously, these two things can't be absolved cleanly by yourself. Of course, from the perspective of the command chain of the South Korean military, the 707 Special Forces Regiment may really not have been ordered to dispatch by Park An-soo. But judging from the fact that Park An-soo was actively involved when the martial law order was issued and was busy shirking responsibility after the failure of the martial law, this person can be identified as being incompetent, but fond of meddling. The second unexpected one to cut ties is Yoon Suk-yeol's wife, Kun-hee. Of course, it is rather difficult for Kun-hee to forcefully cut ties. After all, every South Korean knows that Yoon Suk-yeol's wife is notoriously power-hungry, and it is hard to tell whether many of Yoon Suk-yeol's abstract operations are his own or his wife's in this internal struggle between the left and right wings of the South Korean political arena. The main target of the Democratic Party of Korea is to hold on to a large amount of negative information about Yoon Suk-yeol's wife. Of course, there is indeed no lack of various negative information about Yoon Suk-yeol's wife. So now Kun-hee's way of whitewashing seems to be to ask the South Korean media to announce that if Kun-hee had been there when Yoon Suk-yeol announced the martial law order, things would definitely not have turned out like this. This statement is full of implications. If Kun-hee had been there, the underlying meaning is that when Yoon Suk-yeol caused the martial law incident, his wife was not there. Since his wife was not at the scene of the incident, presumably she would not bear any responsibility. Things would not have turned out like this. Which shows her stance. That is, at least Kun-hee would not have agreed to Yoon Suk-yeol's implementation of martial law. But really, this kind of cutting ties is definitely useless. Yoon Suk-yeol and his wife are firmly bound together. His wife's power almost entirely comes from Yoon Suk-yeol. The two are firmly bound together, sharing both prosperity and adversity. If Yoon Suk-yeol falls, his wife will inevitably be torn apart by political opponents at this time. Being busy cutting ties only shows that this woman is so stupid that she could be put in a museum. Second, it only shows that this woman is so panicked that she has lost her head. Third, it only shows that Yoon Suk-yeol is completely finished. Even his own wife is in a hurry to draw a clear line. What is funny is Dong-hoon, the leader of the current ruling party, the People Power Party. After Yoon Suk-yeol tried to turn the tables but failed, he exposed all his weaknesses and soft spots to the opposition Democratic Party of Korea, which can be regarded as a political self-destruction. How could the Democratic Party of Korea let go of this great opportunity? They launched a relentless pursuit of Yoon Suk-yeol in this situation. The People Power Party initially tried to protect Yoon Suk-yeol and not make things too ugly. Dong-hoon even said on December 5 that he would stop the Democratic Party of Korea from proposing an impeachment of Yoon Suk-yeol in the National Assembly. Unexpectedly, the situation changed completely a day later. The newly disclosed information shows that after Yoon Suk-yeol issued the martial law order, the special forces he mobilized had several main targets for arrest. It was just because they were so incompetent that they didn't catch anyone. These three targets are Yoon Suk-yeol's main political opponent Lee Jae-myung, the Speaker of the National Assembly of the Democratic Party of Korea, Won-shik, and the third one is Dong-hoon. It is completely unclear why Suk-yeol asked the Special Forces Regiment to arrest the leader of his own party. One explanation is that President Yoon really believed his own blather that 180 out of 200 parliamentarians were spies of North Korea. So he simply wanted to arrest everyone cleanly. Another explanation is that Suk-yeol really intended to fight to the death and wipe out all political parties in South Korea to establish his own military dictatorship relying on the military. Then why did you give up after only 5 hours and 22 minutes? So now Dong-hoon has also turned against Suk-yeol and demanded the immediate removal of Suk-yeol from the presidency. Suk-yeol has really become a loner in short. Looking at this martial law farce caused by Suk-yeol and the South Korean military, our previous judgment still holds. Suk-yeol is extremely incompetent in political struggle and lacks the courage for a coup since he decided to carry out a coup. Not to mention the lack of determination to see it through. From the arrangement of the coup to the wooing of the South Korean military, everything is a mess. And all kinds of mysterious operations emerge in an endless stream. This is not a coup at all. It is extremely astonishing, even in the history of coups. What this reflects is actually Suk-yeol's extremely poor political level, zero political wisdom, and almost no command and coordination ability. When he is impulsive, he makes random decisions. And when he is hesitant, he is indecisive. Almost every aspect determines that such a person can't even be a good community secretary, let alone a national leader. So how on earth did he get elected as the president of South Korea? The South Korean military is also equally abstract. In this coup incident, the role played by the South Korean military is not glorious. There must have been some cases of senior officers acting on their own. It is still unclear whether it has anything to do with Park An-soo. Once the South Korean military acts on its own, it reminds people of the South Korean military that used to depose civilian governments at every turn, staging the Seoul Won-shik unrestricted fighting competitions, and producing people like Chun Do-hwan or Park Chung-hee from time to time, but it is all too obvious that during this coup, the South Korean military wanted to get involved, but didn't dare to. It seems to want to play a role of trying to gain some benefits and seeing if it can succeed. Seriously, such a South Korean military is even more frightening. What does it mean that a military has become a political speculator? Finally, the domestic political arena in South Korea is also indescribable. There are those who cut ties, turn against, are arrogant before and servile after, and pursue relentlessly. What this reflects is an essential problem. The political struggle in the South Korean political arena is going back to the old path and developing in the direction of political struggle becoming a farce. Once many political norms are broken, they can never go back. Often, the vicious cycle of political struggle is a downward spiral. From this perspective, after the extremely abstract coup incident of Suk-yeol in the South Korean political arena, this trouble has just begun. There is no knowing how many despicable people will emerge in the future.